Yo, I hope you guys are doing fantastic today. In this video, we're going to go over how you can survive the acid in Brimstone Sands. Surviving the acid is pretty important within the zone because as you can see here at this acid pool, there's a chest sitting out there in the middle of the acid. So if you cannot survive the acid, you're not going to be able to loot a lot of these very important chests that are around the area. A couple of other reasons why you really want to be able to survive the acid is because it's been data mined that the sandworm within this area is going to have some acid attacks. So it might be pretty important for us to have acid resistance whenever that day comes. So it'll be important to know how to do these things. These are not any groundbreaking things that I'm going to show you, but there may be a couple of things in this video that you do not know, so we're going to kind of go over those. But as you can see here within this acid pool, if we step in here, we're going to take a massive acid debuff, and you can see it ticking down very quickly, so you do not have time to open up the sarcophagus before you die. Once you have this acid debuff on you, the acid burn, you can see exactly how quickly that ticks down. My defy death proc there, so it saved me, but then even with that, you just go down incredibly fast. So how in the world do you ever survive something like that ticks down so quickly? Well, there's a couple of different things you can do. One of those is you can get what's called an acid tincture. The acid tincture is a new item you can craft within the Brimstone Sands update. You can come up to an arcane repository and you can craft it here. You have to have 100 arcana to craft it, and you have to be at a tier 4 station. In order to craft the acid tincture, you just need to get cactus flesh, 20 cactus flesh, and cactus flesh can just be obtained from the cactuses that are all around, or the cacti that are all around Brimstone Sands. You just harvest them and you'll get a couple of cactus flesh. Very easy to acquire, very common. Aloe gel, same thing. The aloe gel is found in these succulent plants around Brimstone Sands. You'll see those, they have like a yellow flower on them. Those are all over the place as well, pretty easy to acquire. Sulfur is a little bit harder to acquire. This is another reason why you really want a lot of acid resistance. It's kind of ironic that you need to craft the acid tincture using sulfur, because a lot of sulfur in Brimstone Sands is located in these acid pool areas. So you're going to need to harvest the sulfur to be able to craft your acid tincture, but sulfur is also used in a lot of other items within the game, like your heart gem runes, for example, are going to need a lot of sulfur to craft those. At the smelter station here, in order to craft sulfur, you need 60 smelting, and then you need 5 sulfur chunks. The sulfur chunks is the raw resource you can gather out in Brimstone Sands. Once you have that, you can craft 1 sulfur. You also need to have 5 charged sand in order to craft the acid tincture, and in order to get the charged sand, you need to harvest sandstone within the Brimstone Sands area. After you've acquired some sandstone, you can come over to a stone cutting station and you can find charged sand. You need 150 stone cutting and a tier 5 stone cutting table to be able to craft this. It takes 5 sandstone blocks and 1 obsidian. Once you have all the required materials, you can then come back to the arcane repository, and then you can of course craft some acid tinctures. These acid tinctures, after they are crafted, you consume them just like you do any other consumable in the game. You can put them on your hotbar, or you can right click and consume them from your inventory if you so wish. They remove the acid burn immediately, similar to that of like a corrupted potion. This fully removes the corrupted affliction, and then you gain resistance for a short time. The acid tincture does the exact same. It removes acid burn immediately, then it gives you 20 more points of acid resistance for 300 seconds. So this is very strong. You want to have these at minimum whenever you go harvest things within the acid areas, or you will die. As you've seen, you will die very quickly if you do not have some sort of protection. There is another option for acid protection on top of the tincture, however. There is a new type of armor you can craft within Brimstone Sands. It is called chitin or chitin. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. We're going to go with chitin because I think that's the correct pronunciation. If I'm wrong, I'm sure you guys will correct me in the comments below. But you can craft this armor, and the way it works is you can craft it all the way up to 600 gear score using cooldown materials. I don't have trophies etc up right now, so obviously I can't craft a 600 gear score, but you can craft it all the way up to legendary. It works very similar to a normal craft. You can add a perk on there, and then the other 2 perks are random. But here's the important thing to note about this chitin armor is that it comes with a predetermined gem slot, which is acid resistance. Now here's the other very interesting thing. I'm not sure that chitin armor in and of itself has any kind of acid resistance built in. We have some equipped here, and all it says is that it gives us 10 acid resistance, and acid resistance ticks 15% slower. That is a perk on this gear. You get that inherently whenever you craft this armor. However, you can also craft craft just this chitin padding right here, and then this works just as a gem, and you can slot it into any other armor and get the same exact effects. So if you do not want to craft all of this heavy chitin armor right here, because this is the only option we have to craft is the heavy armor, and again it comes slotted automatically with this acid resistance gem, essentially is what it is. So if you look at this item here, it shows that this is a reinforced padding that adds acid resistance when socketed into armor. It takes 1 chitin plate to craft this. 5 aloe gel, we went over where to get that. Cactus flesh, we went over where to get that. The chitin plates can be harvested from scorpions. They're all over Brimstone Sands. There is a really easy spot to farm scorpions here at the beds of Tab Bajet. Now this is a elite zone, but if you run up through this little valley here, there are some elite scorpions here, but there's a few that just aren't really that tough. You want to stay away from the really big scorpions if you're solo, but a lot of the other scorpions in the area aren't that tough to find. There's also scorpions all over Brimstone Sands. We have them all marked on our map over at newworldmap.com, so you can find them all. They're very easy. You find them, you kill them, and you can get the required material to craft that padding pretty quickly. After you kill the scorpions, you're going to be rewarded with what's called chitin parts. So in order to craft this chitin padding, you need a chitin plate. To craft a chitin plate, you need to make your way over to a tannery, and whenever you're here, you can search for chitin, and then here's chitin plate. You need 200 leather working in order to craft this thing. You also need a tier 5 station. This takes 8 chitin parts, and the chitin parts, again, that's what can be farmed from the scorpions. You go kill scorpions. They're pretty easy to get. You'll get a lot of them, so this isn't too difficult to craft. And then it just takes 2 layered leather. Once you have your chitin plates, you can then come back over to the forge, and you can look for the chitin armor once again. So it does require a chitin plate to craft the armor and a chitin padding. So nonetheless, you're gonna have to craft this chitin padding anyway. Here's the really neat part though, is that again, this chitin padding is basically a gem. So if you do not want to craft all of this heavy armor, you can just come over here. You can craft a chitin padding here. It goes into your gem area, your jewel crafting area, just like a gem would. And you can see here, it gives you 10 acid resistance, and acid resistance ticks plus 15% slower, which is the same exact thing that this chitin heavy plate chest gives us. So unless there's some hidden stat with the chitin armor specifically that increases your acid resistance even more, it seems like you're just going to be able to take this chitin padding and slot it into any gear and get the same results. So as you can see here, we have that slotted into these legs, and you get acid resistance on these two, just like you do with the chitin armor. Another thing to take note of is that you can replace the gem in your chitin armor though, just like you would any other armor, so it's not locked. So you can take a gem, you can slot it in there, it will destroy this gem, but now this chitin armor no longer has acid resistance. So really the only thing this does for you, and again, unless there's some hidden stat, is that it just comes inherently with this padding already in there. But if you want to use other armor, for example like void bent or other luck set to go gather these chests, you can throw on a luck set, put a lot of chitin padding in there, and you can go farm your heart out with all of these chests. And if you have on chitin padding, or if you have on chitin armor, if you have this slotted in your gear and you're rolling around with acid tinctures, you'll be just fine. You'll be able to survive the acid no problem, and you'll be able to loot all of the goodies within those areas. So that's gonna do it for this one, boys and girls. Thank you guys so much for watching. I know it's nothing too groundbreaking, but I don't think a lot of people know that you can take that chitin padding and just slot it into your armor just like you would a gem. I think a lot of people are under the impression that you really need to craft that chitin armor. You don't have to. Just craft the padding, slot it into your armor, and you're ready to rock and roll. That's going to do it for this one, boys and girls. I hope this helps you out. If it does, please make sure to like and subscribe. I greatly appreciate it. If you want to continue the conversation or come hang out while we're playing a little Brimstone, I stream over on Twitch every Tuesday through Friday, 8 o'clock a.m. CST. And that'll do it. Thank you guys for being here. We'll see you in the next one.